Okay, so the CEO of LinkedIn, or the former CEO, whichever one it is, was involved in this thing to put together a botnet of 1,000 that looked like Russian bots that were helping the Roy Moore campaign so that they could make it look like Roy Moore was colluding with the Russians. Kind of the smoking gun in terms of whether or not the whole entire collusion with the Russians narrative is fake. It is very fake. All right. Anyways, so this is actually from these articles are from the day after Christmas, but I didn't get to round it. This one just happens to be super funny. All right. So anyways, on to the Chinese economy. They continue to be investing in infrastructure, regardless of whether or not the demand for that infrastructure is there, which clearly we're seeing here it's not, because the utilization rate is falling despite the fact that the investment rate continues to increase. So not sure what their plan is there. Okay, so they're continuing to do the revenge on the Canadians thing, try to convince Canadians that they should never act in American interests again. Here's one example. Poor Canadian guy smuggled an enormous amount of drugs going on in China. Of course, he always has been one of the most thoughtful commentators on everything that's going on in China. And in this particular instance, he is talking about how cash markets that have daily trading volume of 8 times the stock market. So yeah, we're looking at the wrong markets when we try to take a gauge of China, is what he seems to be implying here. Probably the best indicator of any asset flows in China from commodities, stocks, and real estate. So yes, them jumping to 9% is important. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? China factory jobs dried up as trade tensions hit manufacturing. Yeah, you know, middle class people, they do a lot of they deal with like loan sharks and like peer-to-peer institutions, stuff like that. So the fact that those are failing now is definitely harming them. Like, and honestly, everybody in China loans each other money, like really easily. Like, there's no way if I called up a bunch of relatives in America, or like for that matter, anybody I know in America couldn't call up a bunch of relatives and be like, oh, by the way, I want to start an illegal business, but I need to prove that I have $100,000 in the bank in order to do it. So can you just lend me $100,000 for like 2 days, and then once I get the government seal, the permit, then I'll just send you the money back. No Americans are going to do that, but Chinese people do stuff like that for each other all the time. It's crazy. But it makes you think though that when the velocity of money starts slowing down, when people start defaulting, it hits your average person in ways that you wouldn't expect, because they're probably owed money. And you know what? They might not even be like stressing about getting that money back when they're owed money, but then suddenly they themselves need the money for some reason, and then they find out that, you know how it works. Belt and Road Initiative. China's going to take over Kenya's largest port because of the unpaid Chinese loan. Balding over the last few days actually has a lot of really interesting things to say about this. Or not specifically this incident, but about Belt and Road Initiative. And similar story, the U.S. Navy is maybe going to have to abandon a major Israeli port because Chinese firms are beginning operations there. We don't want to potentially be giving away intelligence information by operating within that proximity. Chinese weapons coming online 2019, hypersonic weapons, stuff like that. Good time to get killed in Taiwan. They got a new drone that can fly for 35 hours straight. So yeah, Chinese military looking pretty scary right now. And all of that is the backdrop for the new trade talks that are going to get started. I highlighted the fact that Robert Lighthizer wasn't going to be in that particular meeting. I was pretty worried that Lighthizer, for some reason, had been taken out of the negotiations. But it seems like he's back, and there's actually a really good profile of him in The Atlantic, which I'm going to review next time.